Hi, welcome to Mindful Cooking with Pacific Asia Museum. My name is Cecilia Leung, and I've been cooking in Los Angeles for 18 years, most recently at Little Flower Cafe and Lincoln Cafe in Pasadena. Today, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite comfort foods, porridge, also known as congee or juk. Growing up, my dad made juk pretty often. He would use whatever he found in the fridge, whether it be chicken, pork, seafood, sometimes just plain. So you can definitely let your creative juices run with this recipe because of its versatility. And also the beauty of this recipe is that with just a little bit of rice, it will yield a large stock pot full of juk so that it can feed a whole entire family. It can also be a great meal prep plan where you can make it in advance, freeze it, and then take it out and thaw, and then you can add whatever vegetables or proteins you would like into the porridge. Now, before we start, we're going to actually make chicken stock because the beauty of porridge is layering of flavors. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to toast some spices. So here we have some whole black peppercorns, star anise, some cloves of garlic, some whole coriander seeds, and sliced ginger. I'm also adding a little dried pepper just to add some heat to our chicken broth. So what you want to do first is heat up your stock pot. I'm actually going to use my pasta steamer. And I thought that this would be a really great shortcut for later when we need to strain out our chicken stock. So you'll see why. So first you're going to heat up your stock pot. I'm going to add my spices into the stock pot to toast. So you're going to leave it into the stock pot to toast for a few minutes just to release the aromatics because the heat will actually help the spices release its oils. And then I'm going to actually put my chicken into my pasta steamer. I definitely recommend purchasing a whole chicken just because the bones actually release a lot of flavor. And then after we make the chicken stock and the chicken's boiled, we can shred the chicken and that will be our protein. Now, if you don't have any chicken stock, another option is to use bouillon cubes. One of my favorites is actually Better Than Bouillon. It comes in a vegetable base, chicken, pork, beef, or seafood. And you just follow the directions on the bottle as to how much of the base you add to your water. Now, in addition to the spices that I hear toasting and crackling in my stock pot, I went ahead and prepped the vegetables for my porridge and the garnish, but all of the lovely scraps I'm actually going to put in with my chicken into my stock to flavor so that nothing goes to waste. So now that I have everything in my steamer section, I'm going to put this into the stock pot. And I'm going to cover this with water. So let's take a look to see how much water we actually use to cover up our chicken stock. Come along with me. So as you can see, we actually cover all of our chicken and the vegetables with water. So now I'm going to put the lid on and let that come to a boil for about 30 minutes. and then we're gonna start on our porridge. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. I wish you were in my kitchen to smell this chicken stock, but let's take a look at the pot. Look at that. Oh, it smells so good. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off the stove. So the beauty of this pasta steamer is that perforated insert that you can actually pull out. And this is super helpful when making stock, because instead of trying to struggle with a pair of tongs taking out the whole chicken, you can just lift the insert out. Let it drain all the liquid out. And then I'm going to put this insert onto a plate and let the chicken cool. Oh, the stock smells so good. I mean, you can smell the sweetness from the ginger, the star anise, the coriander, as well as the onion, cilantro scraps that I put in with the chicken. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready to make the porridge. So you're going to need a pot, which I have right here. I'm going to turn the heat onto a medium high and add some oil so I can go ahead and sweat the ginger, garlic, and onions. Again, it's about developing flavor. We have a ton of flavor from the chicken stock, but now we're going to develop the flavor for our rice base. So once that warms up, we're gonna add the vegetables in. And then, similar to making risotto, we're going to add the rice in and let it coat with the oil. This way it will make the rice grains a little bit more tender and it will blossom a bit better to yield that velvety texture of porridge. Hear that sizzle? That sizzle tells us that our pot was hot enough along with the oil, so now it can sweat our garlic, ginger, and onions. So I'm going to take a rubber spatula and stir it around so that it coats well. Now, if you don't have rice, you can also use leftover cooked rice. That will just cut your cooking time in half, because the grains, the rice grains are already cooked off. Usually for porridge, we do use long grain jasmine rice, but right now I only have brown rice, specifically Coda Farms brown rice. Coda Farms is a farm based in Central California. It's family owned and operated by the Coda family for over 100 years. So I always like to support local farmers. So I hear that sizzle. It's time to put in that rice. So let's take a look at how far we want to take our vegetables and rice before we add our stock. Come with me. I'm also going to get a ladle so that we're ready to put our stock into our rice. So see how the onions and the garlic are translucent and the rice is well coated with the oil. So now I'm going to slowly add in the chicken stock. I only want to add in enough chicken stock so that the rice will absorb the stock. So again, very similar to making risotto, where you only add enough liquid for the rice to absorb and then you continue adding the liquid. So now I'm just going to go ahead and let this come up to a boil. And once it comes up to a boil, I'm gonna let it simmer and continue adding liquid until the rice cooks and blossoms. And then we'll be back to check on our porridge. So it's been about 2 hours. Let's go ahead and check on our porridge. So I did let this simmer for about 2 hours. You can still see the grains, but notice how the starch has been released and it's a little bit creamier. If you would like, you could add more stock and cook this down a little bit longer so that the grains truly blossom. But I'm gonna say this is ready. So let's go ahead and plate up. Okay, so let's talk toppings for the porridge. So from the chicken stock earlier, I went ahead and shredded some of the breast and the chicken thigh meat. I also had some herbs in my fridge. I have some dill, which pairs really well with chicken, cilantro, and scallions. I toasted up a little bit of peanuts. I had some pickled mustard greens in my fridge, so I'm going to use that. And I like a little bit of heat, so I also have some garlic chili scallion oil that I'm going to top my porridge with. You can also put a poached egg on top. That's also really lovely because once you break the poached egg, it's like a sauce on the porridge. So it makes it extra luxurious and creamy. And when you put the toppings, you definitely want to consider textures, flavors. I love using herbs because it's nice and bright and fresh. I love peanuts. It gives it that crunch. And also, since I use brown rice, it pairs well with the nuttiness of the brown rice. And there you go. A bowl of chicken porridge. It's like a warm hug in a bowl. Now for the taste test. Trying to get that perfect bite where it's a little bit of everything on one spoon. I think I got it. I love it. It's creamy from the porridge. I get crunchy from the peanuts and the pickled cabbage with the balance of acidity and the chicken and the chili sauce. I'm so sorry, I'm talking a mouthful, but it's so good. I can't wait for you to try this at home. Until next time, Thanks for joining me. Bye.